What's up, gaming heroes? Welcome back to another awesome World of Warcraft video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at what you can do as a brand new player who's just hit level 60 in World of Warcraft Shadowlands. As always, thank you seriously so much to my wonderful patrons who continue to support the channel with a real life money. It is so epic that you guys support me, and I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You can check out my Patreon and get access to my awesome World of Warcraft guides written on erosiumtv.com. Alright, so first is first, you hit level 60 and you've got a few different ways of just generally gearing up and playing the game. Obviously, as a brand new level 60, you're going to have to play through the campaign, and there's really no way to get around this. If you've never done the campaign all the way through, you need to do the campaign, and it is quite a lengthy campaign right now because there's multiple patches. And you've just got to go through all of it and get it done. Now, once you've done this, you do have access to the Torghast skip. And this will skip you past the Torghast skip. This will skip you all the way past Porthia. This will skip you all the way to Zereth Mortis, which is the latest content patch that we have had in 9.2. Now, obviously, as you're doing the campaign quests, it's going to take you to all these various different areas, such as Torghast, the Tower of the Damned, such as Porthia. It's going to take you all over the place, but you need to get it done. You need to get it done because ultimately what you really need to do is unlock Zereth Mortis. You need to unlock Zereth Mortis so that you have access to the highest form of gear. There are several ways to gear up in Shadowlands, and the reason you want to gear up is so that you can take part in the highest forms of content, whether that is PvP, whether that is raiding, or whether that is Mythic Plus. Now, Mythic Plus are basically just dungeons, but harder forms of dungeons. And you can see just here that these are all the different dungeons that you can do in Shadowlands. And your goal really per season is to complete the highest form of each of these dungeons. So ideally, you know, at least a plus 15 of each of these dungeons. If you can do it in time, then you'll be doing really well by the end of the season. And you may even get yourself a really cool mount. Now, if you're doing raiding, you can actually sign up to all the raids from Shadowlands, such as Castle Nathria, which was the first one, such as Sanctum of Domination, or even Sepulchre of the First Ones, which is the current one, and you need to be 220 at least to start that. Now, this is the lowest form of raiding. What you really want to do is get yourself geared up from Mythic Plus so that you can head into normal, Sepulchre of the First Ones, or maybe even Heroic. Mythic is definitely for the more experienced players, but as a new player, my highest bit of advice would be get yourself started in looking for raid, then progress into normal, then once you've completed normal, progress into heroic. If you are in a guild, this makes it a lot easier to do. And I highly suggest joining a guild and learning how to play with them, because if you make friends in a guild, you will quickly find that they will help you improve at your character, and they will just give you huge amounts of advice and tips on the whole. Now, if they don't, they probably don't care about you, and it's probably not the right guild for you, you know, but always feel free to, you know, try out different guilds and find one that works for you, and maybe meet new people and create new friendships in World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft is a very lonely place without a guild, but if you can find one that works well with you, you have a really good home in World of Warcraft and a place to call a community. I actually have a guild myself called Heroes of Creation, and we have 287 members at the moment. I recruit anyone who basically wants to join. I've had loads of people start brand new characters on Silver Moon, level them up and join the guild. We raid in Heroic right now, which is one down from Mythic. So it is really hard, but you know, it's not as hard as the hardest difficulty, which is Mythic. Now, once you've completed the campaign and you've got yourself all the way to Zereth Mortis, I'm going to quickly use the skip right now. Lovely jubbly. Now, it's telling me I should go and do the quests for Porthia. I'm going to skip again because, hey, I've already done this many times and I don't need to do it again. And now it's going to take me to the Zereth Mortis, which I can just speak to Talinara to skip that as well. So I'm going to skip to Zereth Mortis now. Okay, so now I've done all of those skips. All it's basically done is skipped each of the content patches throughout the game. Now, if you're a brand new player, you're obviously going to have to play through each of those. That's completely fine. I'm not going to tell you how to play through each of those because it's pretty obvious. You just follow the storyline and that's all there is to it. It's very basic to go through. So you're best off just doing that and getting the campaign done. Now, as I've already unlocked Zereth Mortis on this character, through using the skip, I am able to go straight to Zereth Mortis and actually grab all of my quests. Now, Zereth Mortis is a brilliant place to gear up a brand new character. There is a vendor just here called Hadja, and Hadja actually sells you pieces of equipment which are 2 to 6 item level, which is really, really blooming high, and will actually get you easily enough to get into looking for raid and even normal Sepulchre of the first ones. I highly suggest grabbing all of this gear. It's only 500 anima each, and that's super easy to get by simply completing world quests. Now, if you're not really sure on how to get anima in World of Warcraft, then check out my anima guide, which I have on my channel. Just search it and you will see my anima guide on that. And once you've got yourself some anima, go ahead and buy some gear from the vendor. I'm going to go ahead and buy a weapon. Let's buy a weapon. And what's my lowest item level piece of equipment? It's my shoes. So we've got to buy some shoes first, and that will start us off with everything we need. So let's go ahead and create that gear. Fantastic. If I hold shift and go over the item, it will tell me the stat increases in comparison to my current gear. So you can see it gives me 42 agility and loads of extra stats, which are going to be absolutely vital to my character. So I'm going to equip that, and then I'm going to use this weapons, this broker weaponry. Boom, done. Okay, fantastic. This is excellent. So now, wow, this is a huge stat increase to my character. I'm going to go ahead and use that. Lovely jubbly. So already our item level is increasing. Now, some people do wonder, you know, if an item's blue and I've got a green item which has a higher item level, should I use the higher item level or should I use the blue piece? Well, my tip to that, guys, is always hold shift and just check the stats. If the stats are coming up as a huge amount of increase for you, then use the one that gives you the most stats. If it comes up as not really an upgrade, then don't use them. It's entirely up to you. Now, how do you get flying in Zereth Mortis? This is a really, really good question. You actually have to complete a few achievements in order to unlock that, and I highly advise you to go check out Wowhead, where you can find a full guide on unlocking flying in Zereth Mortis. I'm just going to say to you, you want to get that unlocked ASAP, because once you've unlocked that, you can then start to farm chests around Zereth Mortis, which will give you things like anima, so you can buy more gear. It will give you Cosmic Flux, and Cosmic Flux is great for building yourself a legendary piece of equipment, which you really need to make sure you do. Ooh, I just got a ring from literally just looting a piece of treasure in Zereth Mortis. Now, I notice these birds are very, very difficult for my character to kill right now, and that's just purely because we are brand new to Zereth Mortis. Okay, so we just got a ring, so we can equip that piece of equipment already. Look at that. The character is already flying up in item levels. Now, don't worry too much about Torghast and getting all the materials that you need to build yourself a legendary piece of equipment. You can actually come over to this vendor here called Velo, and Velo sells bags of explored souls. You only need to be honored to get these, and you pay with Cosmic Flux. You get so much Cosmic Flux from Zereth Mortis, it's unreal. You can buy these bags from Velo, and once you've got these, you simply open them and they will give you Soul Cinders and Soul Ash, which are two of the currencies that you need in order to craft yourself a legendary piece of equipment. So don't worry so much about farming loads of Torghast or anything like that. It's very easy. You just need to complete Zereth Mortis as much as possible. Do your daily quests, do your world quests, do everything you can to complete Zereth Mortis. Go around Zereth Mortis once a day and get all the treasures that you can on the mini-map. That will massively help you. Bear in mind, you can also buy really nice boots from him as well, which are 233 item level. That's fantastic. Typically, as a new player, you will want to do the entire Zereth Mortis campaign, and if you are doing the intro to Zereth Mortis, you will actually get a whole load of gear and a whole load of renown by simply starting the quests to unlocking Zereth Mortis. Now, once you've got all of your items replaced for like 226 item level, you have a few different options as to what you want to do. Now, the main reason I was telling you guys to make sure you get yourself flying in Zereth Mortis as soon as possible is mainly because once you are flying, it's super easy to collect all of these wonderful treasures around Zereth Mortis. You want to get all of these treasures because they will drop Sandworn relics. What can you do with Sandworn relics? You can actually come over to Rafik right here, which is over in Pilgrim's Grace. So if I open the map and show you, right here in Pilgrim's Grace, and you can speak to Rafik, and then Rafik will actually sell you this wonderful gear. Now, you need to get Sound 1 relics in order to get this gear, and if you can fly in Zereth Mortis and you're completing your daily quest each day, you're killing rares, you're going to get loads of Sound 1 relics. This will easily get you geared up to 246 without even doing a dungeon, without even doing a raid, or even doing PvP. This is a fantastic way for more casual or new players to gear up their characters without partaking in any grouped content if they don't want to. However, say you don't want to do this and you want to go into the more group side content of the game, that's completely fine. All I would suggest you do is get your first 226 gear from Zereth Mortis, then proceed to join some Mythic Plus. How do you join Mythic Plus? Simply open up pre-made groups, so press I on the standard UI, and then go to Dungeons, and then click Find a Group. At this point, you want to be aiming low because you're a brand new player, so joining a plus 14, you're not going to be item level good enough for that. You're going to need probably about 260 for this stuff, so you really want to be focusing on the really low ones. So you see this? 0 Ult Run. This is going to be perfect for you because this is basically the lowest form of Mythic Plus, and this will still give you really good gear. There's no point going straight into these high ones where, you know, the bosses do huge amounts of damage and they have huge amounts of health, and you're going to get instantly one-shotted most of the time. You're much better off starting slow and building your way up as you continually you know, time these lower Mythic Plus keys. You can then start to upgrade slowly but surely, going up 1 or 2 levels at a time. And each one that you complete, now say you complete your first one, you will be given a Mythic Plus key. This is your key and it changes every single week. I've logged onto my main character, which is a Moonkin Druid. I'm only item level 268 at the moment. And as you can see here in my bags, I've actually got a Mythic Keystone. Now, once you've completed your Mythic 0 for the very first time, you will be rewarded a Mythic Keystone. This is your keystone and your ability now go into a dungeon and to complete that dungeon in time with a group of people. Now, if you complete it in time, you will be given gear at the end of the dungeon, and the higher the timer, i.e. the quicker you completed the dungeon in time, the more gear that will be rewarded to the group. If you complete the dungeon and it's out of time, only one person will get gear typically from the dungeon. So that's why it's incentivized to make sure you are completing those Mythic Plus in time. So say right now you're in my shoes and you've got a keystone and you want to start that keystone. You would simply press I again, click pre-made groups, click dungeon, and then type start, and then click start group. At this point, I would go ahead and I would type in what it is I'm doing. So in my instance, it's Theatre of Pain plus 17. But what I could do is say I was a brand new player like yourselves. I would simply go M0, as in to say Mythic 0. So we're starting from fresh, Theatre of Pain. So you don't have to put Theatre of Pain. You can just put Mythic 0 if you want to. And then people would know that you're doing a Mythic 0. You're not going to be, you know, timing the key or anything like that. You're just doing the very first one. That's completely fine for you to do and definitely worth progressing with that. Now that will build up as you go. And if you're looking to then take your character and start to gain additional pieces of equipment, then I highly suggest looking for Raid. Raid Finder is actually really fun if you find a good group of people to do it with. At item level 220, you will have access to Raid Finder and you will be able to kill 3 bosses in the inferior planes, 3 bosses in each of these. Basically, it just continues like that. And what you can actually do is actually sign up and queue for each of these at the same time. So if I went in and I clicked join group there, and then I went to the next one, I could queue for this one as well. Brilliant. And I could queue for the Domination Grasp as well. I've now queued for all 3 of these. It doesn't necessarily say that I've queued for all 3 of them, but I have queued for all 3 of them. Now, as I join one and I complete that, I actually remain queued in all of them. And once I've completed that raid finder of those 3 bosses, we've killed those bosses, it will automatically join me into another raid for the other bosses that I had signed up for already. Very useful. Now, each of these bosses that you kill, you have a chance of getting a really good piece of equipment, such as these set pieces that I've actually got on right now. I've got 4 set at the moment, and I only need 4. These give you your character additional benefits and additional damage so you can really blast those numbers out when you're fighting in Mythic Plus or in raids. It's worth noting that once you've actually completed the Zereth Mortis, you can actually craft yourself one set piece every single week using the creation catalyst at the bottom of Catalyst Gardens. It's just in the center here. You come there and you bring a piece of random equipment, such as the ones that you can buy from Pilgrim's Grace, and you can turn that into a set piece of equipment, such as these leggings or the fixed stars. Each class will have its own different set bonuses and everything like that, so it's worth checking out how it works for you individually. Now, say that you aren't interested in Mythic Plus and you're just not interested in raiding, you then have one other option for gearing up in World of Warcraft Shadowlands. It is so easy. It is called player versus player. This is effectively where you are fighting other players in epic battlegrounds, arenas, or maybe out even in the world if you've got war mode on. There are lots of different progression routes for PvP, such as this leveling system, which will grant you random rewards as you continue to level up your PvP level. You can get mounts, pets, toys, all various different things from completing this. You can even join a guild that does rated battlegrounds or something like that, and compete against other players at the highest level of player versus player, rewarding you with the highest items in the game, which is super awesome and super fun. There is so much rewards from just completing these battlegrounds that I highly suggest you do them. If you're just looking for a really simple way that doesn't require too much legwork, you can do that. But it really comes down to whether you're a competitive player or not. If you're not a competitive player, I highly advise you stay away from PvP. However, if you are, then get involved. You could find yourself really enjoying this. And for many expansions, I personally only played PvP. I didn't do any PvE whatsoever. And it is completely possible for you to gear up only with PvP. Now I'm going to show you right now some of the awesome gear that you can get from just doing PvP. Look at this fantastic dagger. It's 249 gear, and the whole premise of this is you basically buy yourself the 249 gear, and then you speak to this gentleman in Erebos who will upgrade that piece of gear depending on your rating in PvP. To get a higher rating, you simply need to compete in arenas and rated battlegrounds and ideally win them so that you get a higher rating for PvP and therefore can upgrade your gear as a result of that. You will also get daily or weekly quests from these gentlemen right here, where you complete them for loads of anima, honor, conquest, and such as that. And this will allow you to have the currency you need to upgrade your gear. It's very, very useful, and I highly suggest you do it. Even as a PvE player, doing this is very useful for the extra anima, and just some of the gear that you can get can actually be a huge upgrade for you as a player, even if you don't do PvP. Now, it is worth noting that there are such things in World of Warcraft called legendary pieces of equipment. These are basically pieces of equipment that you will craft. You unfortunately need to buy the base item from the auction house. You buy the base item from the auction house, and then you get the other materials you need from Zereth Mortis by simply giving in 500 cosmic essence to the gentleman in Haven, which is right there. You give that into him, and he will give you all of the materials that you actually require to make yourself some legendary pieces of equipment. Then you come into Torghast, and you take a sharp right turn. You come through the door, and you get into this chamber here, called the Rune Carver's Obulet. And when you get into here, you can craft yourself a fantastic piece of equipment. And this will give you all of the different currencies that you need in order to craft yourself a legendary piece of equipment. Now, it's worth noting you will need to buy a few things from the auction house, which I'm going to show you in just a second. But this is where you will effectively build your legendary piece of equipment. Now, completing the campaign in Zereth Mortis will reward you with your belt, for a free belt, so you don't even need to worry about that. But that is always going to be Unity, the power Unity. Now, to look at what powers you can potentially turn into legendaries, hold Shift and press J. This will open up the Adventurer's Guide. Now, going to the Adventurer's Guide and pressing Loot, you can go through all of the powers that your character can get for its legendary pieces of equipment. on my character right here, I know that Primordial Arcanic Pulsar and Unity are the two best legendary powers that my character can have given my chosen covenant. So I actually have a legendary Primordial Arcanic Pulsar. This is the power I had to collect it, and I got Unity from just completing Zereth Mortis campaign. So it was very easy. Past that, I had to then get myself some gold. Oh no, all the gold. All the gold in World of Warcraft. There's too much gold in World of Warcraft. Oh, that's convenient. There's a auction house just outside. Let's quickly open up the auction and go here. And if we go to armor, and I can just select leather, or I can select miscellaneous. I go to rune carving and click search, and you can immediately see all of the legendary pieces of equipment. You don't have to make one at item level 291. You can make it all the way down to, I believe, 190, which is the lowest legendary level you can get. Now, if you choose one that is really low, you'll need less currency in order to craft it. And if you choose one that's really high, you'll need more currency to craft it. So it's entirely dependent on yourself. Now, once you've bought yourself a base legendary, you will need some missives. Just type in missive, and that will bring all these up. And you need 2 of these. Now it depends on your spec. If you're a healer, tank, or DPS, you will need 2 of these. So you'll need 1, say, crit and 1 haste, or 1 mastery and versatility. You can't stack them, unfortunately. So you need to choose 1 of each and take that along to craft your legendary. So let's say, for example, we've just bought a missive of crit and we bought a missive of haste. And now we've also got ourselves a, let's go to miscellaneous, click rune carving, and we bought ourselves a Shadowghast ring for 49,000 gold. And we've got it from the mailbox. We come back into the mall and we go into Torghast Tower of the Damned. And then we go to the rune carver's amulet, where we will craft that legendary piece of equipment. We speak to the rune carver and say, I'd like to craft a legendary item. And we simply click here. We click the power we want, which when we press Shift and J, it's Primordial Arcanic Pulsar. You click that, and then you click the piece of equipment you just bought, and then you click the base piece of equipment you just bought. You click the missive, the 2 missives here, and then you click create. And as long as you've got all the materials you need, it will create that legendary piece of equipment, such as the Unity or such as Primordial Arcanic Pulsar. But it's definitely worth getting your free belt from the Zereth Mortis campaign and just building yourself the legendary later on. Now, by pressing Shift J and coming to the adventure guide and clicking loot, you will actually have access to all of your powers, and it will be grayed out if you haven't got it. It will actually tell you how you can get it. So it says here, granted at Renown 48 with your covenant. That will be Venthia, and this will be Necrolords, etc, etc. I just need to basically level up my Renown with those different covenants to get that. It's very easy, and I highly suggest you do it. This will give you a huge amount of item level and will really help your character get a huge amount of DPS in raids, PvP, or Mythic Plus. So there you have it. Those are the 3 main ways that you can gear up in World of Warcraft as a completely brand new player. The first step is obviously complete the campaign for Shadowlands. You need to do that so you have access to everything you need in World of Warcraft Shadowlands. You need to obviously do that as well because you will need to unlock the rune carver in Torghast so that you can therefore craft yourself legendary pieces of equipment. So let's just briefly summarize. You complete the campaign for Shadowlands and you get access to Zereth Mortis. You do your Zereth Mortis daily quests and your world quests, and eventually you will get enough relics of the first ones in order to buy the equipment you want from Pilgrim's Grace. You can even buy the equipment from Haven for 500 anima each, which will give you 226 item level. Then you can take the equipment from Pilgrim's Grace. You can take that and each week create a creation catalyst, which is a set bonus piece of equipment. Then you can either join looking for raids where you can, fight against epic bosses in raids, or you can go ahead and join Mythic Plus, where you can join awesome groups of people completing Mythic Plus to get the best forms of gear. Or additionally, as you continue to grow with your guildies or your friends, you can join raiders in raids, such as normal Sepulchre of the first ones, or Heroic, Sepulchre are the first ones, or even Mythic. Additionally, if you're not interested in Mythics or Raids, you can obviously look into PvP as well, and we've already gone over that. It's as easy as just pressing I, clicking player versus player, and then simply joining each queue and getting your rating up. It's really helpful to join a guild for this, as it will allow you to partake in the higher forms of content which require groups of organized players to complete, basically. Though it is possible, definitely, to gear up as a solo player. It's just you aren't ever going to be able to compete at the highest form of content as a solo player, which is completely fine. I really hope that this video helped you in some way, shape, or form. And hey, if I missed anything at all, feel free to let me know in the comments section below. And if you've got any questions, let me know. I'm happy to help you. I truly am. As a World of Warcraft player who's deeply passionate about this game, I would love to help more of you just get to know World of Warcraft, about what it is to do in WoW, and any questions you've got helps me figure out what types of videos I should be making to help you guys. If you want to support me in any way, shape, or form, check out my Patreon or become a member here on YouTube. It's entirely up to you. Join the Discord if you want to get in touch with myself or any of my admins for asking questions about World of Warcraft in any capacity. And I'll see you guys later. This is Erosium, out.